Thanks, everybody. In this week's Grapevine show, we'll be listening to a 1984 interview that Dad had with heavyweight champ Smokin' Joe Frazier. Now, some of you might not know that Dad is a huge boxing fan and went to see Canadian heavyweight George Cefalu fight every chance he got. I remember him taking me to a bunch of closed circuit. We used to go follow Marvelous Marvin Hagler when he was in Boston. We remember going to see the Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran's in closed circuit. So Dad and I have seen a lot of boxing matches and we're big boxing fans. So Smokin' Joe Frazier coming to the show was a really big deal. Now, for those who don't know who Smokin' Joe is, he was in the golden age of heavyweights in the early 70s, and he became the undisputed heavyweight champ in 1970 when he beat Jimmy Ellis in Madison Square Garden. And you'll learn more about Smokin' Joe during the interview. But he's probably best known for his 3 fights with Muhammad Ali. And his first fight was in 1971 at Madison Square Garden, and it was called Fight of the Century because both fighters were undefeated, and this was the first time that 2 undefeated heavyweights fought for the world championship. The other thing interesting on that fight, I think that was the first fight that trash talking became a thing. And what happened was both fighters were doing an interview with Howard Cosell for ABC Wide World of Sports, I think the day before the match, and Ali called Joe ignorant, and Joe got upset, and they almost threw down right on the set. And Joe talks about that a bit more in the interview. So Joe won that fight, and they met again in 1974 at Madison Square Gardens, and Ali won that fight. And the third fight was one of the greatest and probably one of the most brutal heavyweight fights of all time. It was called the Thrilla in Manila, and they fought in the oppressive heat of the Philippines. And in the 14th round, I mean, it was just an absolutely brutal fight. And in the end of the 13th round, just before the 14th round, because there were 15 rounds back then, Ali went to the corner and told his trainer, Angelo Dundee, to take his gloves off. That was it. He couldn't go any further. And Dundee said, no, just ignored him. And at the same time across the ring, Joe's manager stopped the fight. And after the fight, Ali said it was the closest to dying that I know of. The other thing I always found interesting with Smokin' Joe Frazier was he was the original Rocky. So Sylvester Stallone kind of took his life and made the movie Rocky. Because if you remember, Sly Stallone's character, Rocky Balboa, worked in a meat packing factory in Philly and used to hit the sides of the beef. Well, he kind of stole or borrowed that idea from the real life of Joe Frazier, and Joe talks about that in his interview, which is kind of cool. And coming up after the interview, I'm going to tell you a really funny story about that night. So without further ado, here's Dad, Don Cherry, talking with Smokin' Joe Frazier.
You know, Blue, Smokin' Joe Frazier on the Grapevine tonight. I think Muhammad Ali described Joe the best. He had the heart of a lion, and he never quit. It's an honor for us to have Smokin' Joe, the champ himself, on the Grapevine. So let's come out swinging. Let's do it right, Blue. Roll the credits.
Bet you wondered how I do our sporting heroes and old Blue. Grapes will tell it to you straight. He will tell you through the grapevine. Welcome to the Grapevine! I'm John Allen Cameron, and tonight we have a great show. Over at the bar are a couple of people I want you to meet, our regulars. In one corner, Irish Jimmy Loftus weighing in at 165, and Bill the Hammerlin at 195. All right. And tonight's special guest, one of the greats, from Laurel Bay, South Carolina, at 6'1" and weighing 220, Smokin' Joe Frazier. And now another pretty tough customer, Mr. Don Cherry.
Hey, how you doing? Hey. I'll tell you, if I had a hockey team again, I'd put that right down his shoulder. How do you get ready for somebody? I think you were ready for that one, I'll tell you. Welcome back to the Grapevine. Here he is, I'll tell you. Nice Smokin' Joe, I'll tell you. You'll have to forgive me if I'm a little nervous here. He's my hero, but I understand on the way down you even smoke up the limousines coming down.
Yeah, we had a little engine trouble. I think that it probably heated up, you know.
Yeah.
We're trying to get it so fast. That's probably heated
Oh,
up.
I know you're anxious. I'll tell you, was Foster's the best left hook we saw there earlier?
No, I think that in the early part of the years, like in the 70s when I took on, let's say, Ellis, that was a better left hook then than Foster left hook. Because I think they missed one. I caught him from the back of it. You probably saw the back. But if you had it from the front, I caught him in midair with the hook. I went under,
oh,
and then
nice.
he fell.
Take it easy now, I'll tell you. I don't want to get you mad here. All right, let's start at the very beginning. It was sort of like a play off your life, Rocky Little in the slaughterhouse. That's where you build up your strength, wheeling those things around?
I used to work at a slaughterhouse. I worked the slaughterhouse from 62 to about 64. I ran the streets of Philadelphia. I was in the gymnasium. It's crazy. I used to go to the gym so late at night till a man gave me a key for the gym. Everybody was gone.
Is that right?
Everybody had to go home because my hours at the time at the gymnasium was like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock and the gym closed. My hours at work was like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I would go from 4 a.m. to about 6. And when at 6 o'clock, then I go to the gym. And from the gymnasium, I go to the park.
Well, that's dedication, I'll tell you. You worked at a slaughterhouse and you slaughtered a lot of guys, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that you tried out, now correct me if I'm wrong, for a Rocky movie, for Mr. T, and you give Stallone a little shot and they didn't take you. Is that true?
Well, that's not really the reason, you know. What I was looking at the pictures and looking at the films or whatever, you know, Rocky movie is like, let's say, Bill around the former champion myself.
Yeah.
I worked
For
the
sure,
slaughterhouse.
that's what I mean.
I worked the slaughterhouse. Stallone couldn't cut a beef if you teach him the technique. Okay? You can put me in the slaughterhouse and I could take that animal apart. I worked that.
Just like you did Muhammad, that one fight.
That's
Go
right,
ahead,
that's
right,
right.
yeah.
And look at, my job is my job. Whatever it may be, I learned to do well. And during the time I worked at the slaughterhouse, it was a good job. It was a good living for my family.
Honest job. Good.
Yeah,
honest
I had
job.
to make a living for my family. So therefore, at the time, when I couldn't really fight my way around like I should because I was growing up as a young man. And I had a young family to take care of them.
Well, my wife says you're too good looking for Mr. T anyhow, for sure. Now, you know, when I grew up, I listened to Foster Hewitt and that, and I always wanted to be a hockey player as I grew up. Did you, when you were growing up, did you want to be a fighter right from when you were about 12 or 13?
Well, it's really crazy. I did try to play baseball a little.
You were a catcher, weren't you?
Yes, I
Yes,
can. No.
No?
You're not putting me behind that.
Oh,
back.
all right, go ahead.
I don't like.
You look like a
any,
catcher, that's
any
all.
position in the world I would try besides behind that bat. I can't see that ball coming, guys.
So you wanted to be
crazy.
a ball player?
Yeah, I played baseball when I was younger, and then when I left the South, let's say, then I decided I would. But it's crazy, you know. You have to look at one thing: a man, a person was born to be. I mean, regardless
Fate.
of what it
Fate.
to be.
Yeah.
To be. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, when I was young as a kid, my daddy and my uncle would say, "You know that old boy right there gonna beat Joe Louis." So, you know, I keep hearing it in my head, you know. Like when I was a kid in the South, they didn't have the facilities and stuff there for what I wanna do. So, you know anything about a crocus bag or a sack?
No.
Okay, let me tell you. I used to stuff it with cloth,
Yeah.
sometimes irons and bricks, and I used to hang it on the tree, and I punch on it.
That was your punching bag.
That's my punching bag.
I'll
right,
tell
see?
you. Well, my dad said that I looked like I was going to be great on television, and here I am.
Very good. Very good.
But, tell us about the responsibility of a heavyweight champion. I mean, if the heavyweights are going good, boxing's going good, so the whole thing rests on your shoulders.
Well, the responsibility not to be a heavyweight champion a responsibility to be an athlete like yourself.
Well, thanks very much, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have to take pride in it. Nobody have to tell you what to do, when not to do it in the right time. Most of my sons and my nephews that is in the gym today, I don't have no problem with these guys getting up and go to the park in the morning, show up in the gym at the right time, no shortcut on the work. Now these guys, not trying to follow daddy image, they just want to be good at whatever their job may be. So that's relate to a good athlete, a good man. Anything that you want to do, or a lady, don't leave ladies out, okay? And the ladies.
Well,
the
it's a
same
great
thing.
fine. You can leave them.
Okay.
Listen, I want to ask you about, I always want, two questions. When Ali and you were going at it the weigh-ins, and was that staged, all that trying to
No.
get at each other?
No.
I remember one time you get up and walked off Cosell.
Right. It's a lot of things that, let's say, before this man got his boxing license back, a lot of things were staged, like Philadelphia. I think we had like a workout in the little small PAL gym in Philadelphia. And what we did, we blocked up traffic like 10 to 12 miles each way, 4 ways, east, north, and south and west. We just blocked it up. Now those things were staged, but when it got to the point, as time go by and he got his driver's license or his boxing license and his mouth license.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
All of it,
Everything.
It was to the basis where that he changed.
Yeah.
So therefore, when he changed and I saw the difference in the man that I used to know as being an okay guy after he got his license back, then I changed too.
Yeah, I remember a couple of times. I knew you could tell for a while there you were going along with it. Then when that Cosell thing, hey, you're not going to make a fool of me. Now the
That's
comeback.
right.
I'd like to talk about the comeback. You made a comeback, and it's a funny thing. A soccer player or a hockey player, a baseball player come back. They're all for him. As soon as the heavyweight champion, they just take out the worst films or something on those 3 fights.
Well, Don, it's like this. If a fighter, a hockey player, any individual, let's say a man or lady, feels to himself or herself that he can do the job, I mean, why not? Now, sometime in our business, we get away from it so long that it makes it a little difficult to come back and do the things that we used to do. Now, you take myself, I'm in the gym every day with the boys.
I know, I remember,
yeah.
Hey, you're in shape.
I'm in the gym every day with the boys, and I had an old saying, my daddy had an old saying, he would say, if you wouldn't go, don't send me.
There you are.
So the main thing about it that if I tell these boys how to hit the speed bag, come up with a shot, that means I could do it twice as better because I want them to be able to do that also.
Well, I'll tell you, there's one last question I'd like to ask you. I said I watched you the time, and I said I got to ask you. If I ever get a chance, I'm going to ask you. I did in Hershey the time. Why did you wear those long trunks that one fight?
No, well, let's say, as I grow, I probably design a lot of stuff, that I like. I just want to be a little more,
In the style, was that it? Like
class,
Archie, remember
Archie had long trunks way down here.
It didn't make you feel any better or anything.
No,
like
it's
that,
just out there, the looks of it. Then you're in one room.
Yeah.
If the trunk is too tight, you can't stretch with the punches you need. You know what I mean? It holds you down.
Well,
it's like you're ready to handle that stick.
You better believe it. Of course, I was down all the time, so it didn't make any difference. I'll tell you, we're going to come back. Drill in and Jimmy Office over there.
Nice to
I got
meet
a
you.
couple of questions for you. I didn't answer.
I understand you're bringing up another world champion to follow in your footsteps.
We have probably, let's say, 3 sons and 3, 4 nephews in the gym.
Yeah.
Just teach them to do what's right in the boxing game.
Lots of money in it, right?
That's the name of the business.
You better believe it, isn't it all? Jimmy, go ahead.
Joe, I'd like to ask you this, and I know you'll be honest in your answer. The
It's a grapevine.
toughest punch you ever took in your entire career. Who was that from?
I took George Foreman.
Oh, yeah.
7 times I've been down.
Oh,
I got up. I think George punched very good, but he doesn't have the technique, that really to hurt a guy,
How come George? He He was a good fighter. He wasn't bad, and then he got against Ali. Did he have a bad manager or what in that fight?
Well, from get-go, Jump Street.
Is that right, eh?
The guys have to be taught right. And once, you learn your game by being taught right, you know what I mean? Then you can carry on. That's it. These guys didn't learn nothing. Didn't have anybody to teach them nothing.
How's your singing career coming?
Right now, I'm back to the gym.
Back to the gym? All right. Right now, we're going to go to John Allen. Take it away, John Allen. Right away.
All right, here's a song everybody knows. Looking for a job in the city, waiting for the man every night and day. And I never lost a minute of sleep, worrying about the way things that might have been. Big wheels keep on turning, proud Mary keep on burning. Come on up, champ, come on up here and sing. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Take it away, champ.
Got a lot of pain in Memphis, chop a lot of wood down in Tennessee. But I never lost 1 minute sleep, worrying about the way things might have been. Big wheel keep on turning,
Oh, yeah.
Proud Mary keep on burning.
Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. If you come down to the river, bet you're gonna find some people who live. You don't have to worry if you got no money. People on the river happy to give.
At the end there, that was Joe singing with John Allen Cameron, Rolling on the River. And a funny story about boxing that with Dad and I shared was when I was about 12 years old, Dad took me down to the Boston Gardens to watch some matches. And that's why the Boston Garden was built. It was originally built to watch boxing. So we went. We sat kind of in the press box, and it was kind of like a semi-amateur night. And so the first 5 or 6 fights were amateur fights, and then the last fight was like 2 pretty good fighters that were like working their way up the ranks. So the last fight before the main event was these 2 heavyweights, and they were 2 fat Irish guys went in. And it was 5 rounds, and they just beat the living hell out of each other for the 5 rounds. It was unbelievable. So now the main event comes on, and it was these 2 middleweights, and again, they were pretty good boxers. But for the first round, they kind of felt each other out. Not a lot of punches were thrown, a lot of kind of dancing. And the second round, same thing, few punches thrown, but a lot of dancing. So between the second and third round, it was all quiet, and somebody from the dark recesses of the Boston Garden yell, "Bring back the fat guys." So I want to tell you something that happened that night. So we were shooting the shows in Hamilton, Ontario, which is about half hour outside of Toronto, Ontario, where the Pearson International Airport is. So we sent a limo down to pick up Joe, and we sent a large limo down because we didn't know how many people Joe was going to bring with him. And we expected the limousine to be back around 6:30, 6:45, and we were going to shoot the show at 8 o'clock. So again, this is, 84. There was no cell phone. So it's 6:30. We're kind of looking out the door, waiting to see for the limo to come. 6:45, it's not there. 7 o'clock hasn't shown up. 7:15, he hasn't shown up. 7:30 hasn't shown up. So there's no cell phone. We don't know if Joe missed his flight, if the limo broke down. We don't know what happened. So 8 o'clock, the time we're supposed to be shooting, the limo finally pulls up, and Joe gets out of the limo, and his shirt is all kind of dirty, and he's sweating. And what happened was that the limo started to overheat, and the limo driver had to pull over, and he opened up the hood. The limo driver, he didn't know what was going on. And Smokin Joe owned a bunch of limos, so he says, well, let me take a look. And he kind of fixed the engine, cooled it down, and they made their way back to Hamilton about, almost an hour and a half late. And luckily enough for us, right across the street was a men's clothing store, and they were just about to close, and we ran across the street and got Joe a new shirt so he would look good for the show. So that was an exciting night. Dad was quite exciting meeting Joe Frazier, and as you can see, he didn't have a lot of kind words for Muhammad Ali. I think they made up later in life, but I think Joe was a little hurt about some of the things that Ali said about him. And even Ali said after his retirement that he didn't treat Joe Frazier the way he should have. But it was good to see a read after all these years before Joe passed that they had kind of buried the hatchet. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and thanks for everybody's thoughts and prayers. And Lord willing, we'll see you next week.